today is the future delimitation and the challenges to federalism. Can you guess what exactly we are going to discuss if you have not seen the booklet?
Delimitation exercise is going to happen in 2026.
Okay.
The challenges there on how to the constitution to be developed.
Fine, very good. As you know that representative democracy works on the basis of election. Parliament in India is the most representative institution. States are allocated seats based on their population to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Article 81-82 of the Constitution deals with allocation of seats to states into the Lok Sabha. As of today, the allocation of seats to Lok Sabha is based on the population ascertained based on 1971 census. The population of states in 1971 is the basis upon which seats are allocated to states. Which states are you from?
Rajasthan.
Rajasthan. How many MPs are there in Rajasthan? What is the total number of seats allocated? You are not aware. You are from? Delhi. How many seats are there?
7 seats.
7 seats. Fine. Although Delhi is a UT, fine. 7 seats. You are from? Haryana. Delhi. You? Tamil Nadu. How many seats? 39 seats. 39 seats to Tamil Nadu ascertained on the basis of population in 1971. Uttar Pradesh has allocated seats 80. The MPs from Uttar Pradesh into the Lok Sabha, their number is 80, which is based on the population in 1971. Kerala has 20, based on the population 1971. Bihar has 40, based on population 1971. Now the problem is, population has expanded, in fact increased during the last, how many years? 50 odd years. 50 years. But the number of seats allocated to states have not increased. Population increased, number of seats did not increase. The allocation of seats to states in the Lok Sabha is based on the population figure of 1971 census. But as per the Constitution, the seats allocated to states in the Lok Sabha should be readjusted after every census, because the increase or decrease in the population needs to be seen in the allocation of seats. But because of some issues in 1971 and after that, the allocation of seats or readjustment of seats in the Lok Sabha has been frozen. As you know that India has undertaken family planning program. One of the first country in the developing world which have undertaken family planning program is India. It is said that the southern states have undertaken measures, initiatives to actually implement the family planning program. Because of that, the population of the southern states are comparatively less when you compare the northern states. The population of northern states is very much higher than the southern states. The 31st Constitutional Amendment Act in 1971 increased the number of seats in the Lok Sabha into 530. After that, 42nd Amendment Act in 1976 has frozen the increase and readjustment of seats to the states in the Lok Sabha. The 42nd Amendment Act said for the next 25 years, there will not be any readjustment of seats in the Lok Sabha. Why? The southern states at that point in time said that for the last 2 decades we have implemented the population stabilization planning program. But however, the northern states have not actually implemented them. And when you reallocate the states based on population, then definitely the southern state will lose. I'll give you an example in order to make this easy.
So which article talks about delimitation?
Article 81 of the Constitution deals with the composition strength of Lok Sabha. Article 82 of the Constitution deals with delimitation. Article 82 says Parliament will establish an authority to reallocate the seats to the states in the Lok Sabha and to divide the state based on the basis of population into territorial constituencies. Article 82 of the Constitution deals with that, delimitation. But delimitation will come only after census. Because the purpose of delimitation needs to reflect the change in the population and based on that allocate seats to the states. You see, in 1971, population of Kerala was around 21 million. Kerala. Population of UP in 1971 was around 80 million. The ratio of allocation of seats to the states, whatever the state might be, the ratio of allocation should be similar. The ratio is 1:1 million, which simply means for 1 million population, 1 seat has to be allocated. 1 million. In 1971, the population of India was around 540 million. If you divide this 540 into 1 million by 1 million, कितना मिलेगा? Around 540 plus something. That is the reason it was 543. If you see the Constitution Article 81, 533 for the states and 530 for states and 20 for UT. But approximately I am saying 1 million people represented by 1 MP. This was the situation in 1971. Kerala, 21 million. Kerala has 20 MPs. UP has at this point 80 MPs. It is true, later the UP has been bifurcated into Uttarakhand and UP, but approximately I am speaking. The number of seats allocated to states as of today is based on the population of 1971. What is the population of Kerala in 2011? I am talking about the current, the available census. It is 34 million around. What is the population of UP? Around 200 million. One of the fundamental principles of democracy is 1 person, 1 vote, 1 value. 1 value is very important. If let's say for every 1 million people there is 1 MP, then every individual, whether in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, does not matter, will have equal value of votes. Isn't it? 1 million, here it is, and 800 million, 80 seats, 1 million, 1 MP. Here it is same, 1 million, 1 MP. This principle is known as one person, one vote, one value. The value of vote of an individual, irrespective of the state that person belongs to, irrespective of the constituency that person belongs to, should be equal. Whether you belong to South or not does not matter. Your vote has an equal value. But because of the increase in population, migration and various other aspects, some states' population have galloped, increased. As of 2011 census, the population of Uttar Pradesh is 200 million. If I say 200 million divided by 80, कितना होगा ये mathematics? 2.5 around, which means 2.5 million Uttar Pradeshi people are represented by one MP. Are you getting what I am trying to say? Here in Kerala, let's see 34 by 20, कितना है? Around 1.7 something, है ना? So in Kerala, 1.7 million people are represented by one MP. However, in Uttar Pradesh, 2.5 million people are represented by one MP. There is under-representation in Uttar Pradesh and there is over-representation in Kerala. This situation is known as malapportionment. क्या कहते हैं इसको? Malapportionment. Malapportionment is the discrepancy between the seats allocated to a state and the population of that state. Malapportionment is the discrepancy between the number of seats allocated to a state and its population. Ideally, according to one person, one vote, one value principle, this ratio should have been similar. Here the ratio is 1 MP for 1.17 million. Here it is 2.5. If you see other state, it will be varying. This discrepancy, this lack of proportionality violate Article 81 of the Constitution, because Article 81 of the Constitution says, if you have the Constitution, you can read it, that the ratio should be similar. Ratio should be similar. What kind of ratio? The ratio between the population of a state and the seats allocated to it should, as far as practicable, should be similar. Here the similarity is not there, because here it is 2.5 million. If the number of people being represented by one MP, here it is 1.7. I am giving you one example here. There are multiple things, other examples. You see, there are two things. One, constituency. The number of population within a constituency across the country should be more or less similar. That is one. This is known as intra-state population. Sorry, intra-constituency. Intra-constituency proportionality. This. Next is interstate. The more population, the more seats. The less population, the less number of seats. So there should be intra-state parity as well as interstate parity. But as of today, because of the population has expanded and the expansion of population has not been reflected in the allocation of seats. Why? Because 42nd Amendment has frozen it for 24 years. Later in 2001, 84th Amendment Act. 84th Amendment Act further extended this freezing to 2026. Again 25 years. 84th Amendment Act said the freeze will be applicable till 2026. Not only that, and the census which is taken after 2026, then the reallocation will happen. Simply means 2031 census will happen. After that, the population will be taken. On the basis of that, reallocation will happen.
Sir, freezing up to 2025 or
2026. 2026. 2001 was the year in which the amendment was brought, 84th amendment. So 25 saal extended. 2026 there cannot be any census. 203
there will be a census in 2026, so it will not be taken into account for
ideally census is decennial, isn't it? Decennial. 2011, 2021. It's true that the government has not undertaken the census in 2021. They might start after 2024. So it might happen 2026. But that census will be 2021 census, not 2026 census. As per the constitution, until unless it is amended, as it stands, it is 2026 and next census 2031. If the government does not want to conduct a 2031 census, that does not matter. It simply says the census conducted after 2026. The government has not conducted 2021 census. If the same party continues, the government might be possible that they may not conduct, or some other party might come, may not conduct. We are only dealing with the constitutional provisions. But it is said that we are in 2023. 2026 is not further, it's very near. So the debate has started that this delimitation, readjustment will happen. If you are keeping the existing number of seats, which is 543, and you are using the population of 2031 census, then what will happen is that the southern states will lose a large number of seats and northern state will gain more number of seats, because the population is the basis on which you are using it. So population of, just see this number, 2011 census, UP is 200 million, Kerala is 34 million. If you project this, or let's leave it. Now, let me ask you one thing. If I am using the 2011 census as the base for reallocating seats to states, reallocation means जितना population जिसका ज़्यादा है उसको उतना seat मिलेगा. Reallocation or readjustment. We are not increasing the number of seats at this point in time. We will come to that later. Seats can be only increased by the parliament. We are keeping the number of seats at 543. Right? So, if 543 seats need to be reallocated, redistributed based on 2011 population, how will you do that? As of 2011, the total population of the country is around 1210 million. 1210. I am dividing the total population into total number of seats, like we did in that 1971. 54 million, right? 1 million, 54 we got. If you divide this like this, you will get around 2 million. Which means, for 2 million population, 1 MP. Now let us take this 2 million. कितना है यूपी में? 200 million. Divided by 2 million. How many will be there? 100. UP has 80 seats as of today. If you take 2011 population, more or less, UP will have 100 seats. Now come on, talk about Kerala, 34. 2 million. कितना है? 70. How many seats they have lost? 3 seats. I'm saying that if you take the current population or the projected population after 2026 census, and if you are using population as the only criteria for readjusting of seats or reallocation of seats, the northern state having more population will gain more seats. It is said that there are multiple studies. One study I will tell you, that study has pointed out. The study is Carnegie Endowment Study, 2019. This is one of the popular study. I mean, it has projected that what will be the composition of the Lok Sabha, which state will get how many seats, which will lose, etc., etc. Bihar 40. Bihar as of today has 40 seats. UP as of today has 80 seats. According to the study, census conducted after 2026 will result into reallocation of seats, and UP will gain 11 seats more based upon its population. 91. Bihar, I think it's 10, 50 approximate. Now, what about southern states? Kerala will lose 8 seats. It will get 12. Tamil Nadu, as of today, it has 39. It will lose 8 seats. Readjustment of seats after delimitation post 2031 census will result in Northern India gaining around 20 plus seats, while the southern states losing around 17 plus seats. Do you think that this proposition is acceptable to the southern states? Will they be happy that their representation is being, their political representation is reduced? If you have been reading the newspaper, the southern states ministers have been voicing this concern that this cannot happen. Parliament, a new parliament building has been established. It has 888 members. ठीक है, but and given the political climate of today, given the nature of center-state relation today, given the fact that one ruling party at the center does not have much presence in the southern part of the country, the southern states have a genuine grievance that they have been discriminated against. Southern states feel that the delimitation and readjustment after 2031 census will result into reduction of their political representation at the union level, which will lead to further discrimination. That's the context we are going to discuss this issue. Population is the basis of delimitation. Delimitation will happen after a census which is conducted. In order to reflect the rising level of population into the number of seats in parliament, readjustment and increase of seats used to happen. But in 1971, 31 Amendment Act has increased it to 530. After that, in 1976, 42nd Amendment has frozen both the increase of seats as well as reallocation of seats based on population. This freezing has been extended by 84th Amendment Act in 2001 into 25 years more. Now we are in 2023. Now the debate has started whether there will be a readjustment of seats after 2026 as per the constitutional mandate. And if it happens, what will be the scenario? Who will gain, who will lose? Studies have indicated that southern states have adopted family planning strategy and they have been fairly successful compared to northern states. National Family Health Survey 5, NFHS 5 states that the TFR of UP and Bihar is around 2.8, more than that. It is around 2 in Kerala and other southern states. The share of population of northern states in India is higher. In fact, has been increasing right from 1971. while the share of population of the southern states in the total population has been decreasing. When population becomes the basis for allocation of seats, those states which have adhered to, implemented, properly executed family planning strategy tend to lose out in the bargain. And the question is whether we should reallocate based on population, or should we further extend this freeze? The southern states are saying we are going to lose. Andhra Pradesh will lose, Tamil Nadu will lose, Kerala will lose, all people are going to lose. And they say that we are already being discriminated by the union. Why? Finance Commission has taken the population 2011 census population, 50 Finance Commission, and based on that this horizontal evolution has been done. Southern states provide more tax to the union, but they are being given very less. If you see the commentary or opinion of the ministers and other opinion makers of southern states. So in order to address the concerns of southern states and in order to nudge the northern states for family planning, stabilization in population, should we extend the freeze? Should we extend the freeze for 25 years more? Why not? Why not?
Sir, should we extend regionalism in place of nationalism?
What is regionalism and nationalism?
Means promoting one region over other.
How is that promoting one region is against nationalism? What is the nature of Indian Constitution? The Indian Constitution promotes asymmetric federalism, which means many states, many regions have their own special status given in the Constitution. Article 371 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. If you see, those states, those regions within them have been provided separate administration, separate provisions. The Constitution itself does not shy away from addressing the concerns of regionalism. Regionalism is not a threat to nationalism. In fact, promoting regional autonomy is sure shot recipe for further unity. It cannot be seen in that way, that regionalism is against nationalism. But the question is, what is the end of regionalism? I mean, why a state, why a region is trying to promote regionalism? Is it because the sender or the state are discriminating against that region? Let's take the example of Manipur. It's a state in this country. Meitei Kuki violence is happening. Kuki community has been voicing the concern that the Meitei administration, which controls the government as the police, and which is majority in that state, have been discriminating openly against this community. They have said that they want to have separate administration. They cannot work, function, live under this regime. Now you tell me, is it promoting separatism or regionalism? Or is it something because of lived experience? Delhi, you are from Delhi. Delhi wants, there is a demand of the political class that Delhi should be a state. It's a UT at this point in time. Now can we say that demand for a statehood is promoting regionalism against nationalism? No. But it is true that a region cannot hold the entire country into ransom. In order to satisfy the demand of a region, we should not undermine the national interest. But the question is, what is national interest? National interest will be more or less served by promoting the interest of the region. Why do you think the government has recently entered into many ceasefire agreement with the northeastern militias? The Naga Peace Accord is going on. Why do you think so? Because to address this concern, Schedule 6 areas, Schedule 5 areas, why do you think that special provisions are being given to them? Right? If there are genuine grievances of a region, they should be addressed. Regionalism is not antithetical to so-called nationalism or national unity. The Constitution of India itself promotes it. Otherwise, there is no need for state, different kinds of state and UT, scheduled 6 area, 5 areas, autonomy to the Nagaland and various other district councils. Within the law, special category states. Isn't it?
Sir, but the concerns of southern states is like that of rich people who are saying that we are paying more tax and you are demanding more taxes from us and you are giving nothing to us in the form of subsidies.
No, fine, I agree with that. To some extent, we can accept that point. But ultimately, we should see that ultimately we are Indians, right? We are of one family. So the southern states, by virtue of their development, are generating economic activities and they are paying more taxes. And they have a duty towards their fellow citizens. But it does not mean that whatever they are generating, it is being siphoned off. It cannot be an imperialistic relation between the center and the state. The genuine needs of the state should be addressed. The Tamil Nadu is asking for education should be included, should be taken from concurrent list to which list? State list. Now, why do you need education in concurrent list? If it is in concurrent list, it should be consultation between the state and the center. Now, what is happening in national education policy? Everything is being done. Concurrent list has become union list. Education is best served at the local level. They are genuine concerns. 2011 population you have chosen. Why? It is definitely the southern states have more or less yes, the devolution to them have further reduced because of this. But we are not saying that whatever they are saying is correct. It is true that they are generating economic, they are developed states, and developed states have a duty towards other states. Ultimately, we are all Indians. But it cannot be a one-way relationship. That the state should give everything to the union and union will do everything. No, that cannot be the case. States in the constitution are sovereign in their assigned domain. If you are sending CBI, ED and others to states, then definitely they will create problems. Ultimately, the political relation that decides. Constitution, federalism, all these things are secondary. Politics kaisa chalta hai, wo karta decide. The country at this point in time, the regime at the center tries to promote a view of oneness. One nation, one election, everything is one. The problem with the oneness is that the diversity is lost in it. The country is heterogeneous, not homogeneous. For the southern states concerned with respect to taxation, lower devolution, and this reduction in political representation has to be seen in that larger context. And these are genuine concerns that needs to be addressed. But we are not saying that, as she rightly pointed out, freezing is not an option. Why is it not an option? Because the malapportionment will further increase. There will be a problem of underrepresentation and overrepresentation. It will violate the concept of one person, one vote, one value. Not only that, an MP is a representative of the people. In Telangana, there is a constituency, I think Malkaganj or Maikaganj. 31 million people is the population of their constituency. One MP is representing 31 million people. Can the MP genuinely address the concerns, problems of those people? The representativeness of parliamentary democracy will be undermined if the population is not reflected in the allocation of seats. An MP may not be, in fact, cannot represent the wills, aspiration, needs, concerns of his or her constituency in the legislature, in the parliament. If, let's say, how many students are here? 10 to 15 students. If this is a very big class, 600 to 700 students, do you think that the kind of interaction we are having at this point in time, is it possible? Not at all possible. There is less interaction, no communication, less communication. So as a teacher, I may not be able to address your concerns. Similarly, an MP may not be cannot address the concerns of their people. So the population increase, which not only violate the conceptual, theoretical aspect of the one person, one value, it has practical difficulties. Practical difficulty is that an MP represents the people. The larger number of people, the MP cannot represent. Not only that, what about the election? More number of people, more election expenditure. More number of people, the constituency is big, more number of people, more election expenditure.
And sir, you were saying it's less than 100 rupees per person for cumulative election expenditure. When you were discussing one nation, one election.
A smart aspirant will use one information in multiple domains for multiple purposes. You can use this information, that information there, 100 rupee per head in that question. But here we are saying that the more population, the more expenditure.
Yes,
Isn't it true?
yes, sir.
In public affairs, in public issues should not be seen in a monolithic way. Public issue का मतलब है इसका बहुत सारा perspective होता है. There cannot be something called, this is not a science. नीचे डाल दिया तो गिर गया नीचे. It cannot be. One information, multiple use. Right? It depends upon where you are using. This is not incorrect. In that article, that discussion, that was correct. But here, it is also correct. Crores and rupees have been used for electioneering. अरे इतना सारा लोग है तो सबको पैसा देना पड़ेगा.
Yes, sir.
है कि नहीं? सबके पास जाना पड़ेगा कैंपेन. But fundamentally, the problem is distance between the MP and the people he or she represents. Distance बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. Even within 5 years, the MP cannot meet all people. If the MP does not understand the concerns of the people of his or constituency, how will that person represent their interest in the legislature? If they are not able to represent the interest of the people in the legislature, how will the MP will hold the executive accountable? It's a link here. Poor representation means poor accountability of the executive. Not only that, if you see democratic nations like USA and UK, one MP in UK represents 0.6 million people. This is more or less same in USA also. In the House of Commons, which is the lower house so-called in UK, the total number of MPs पता कितना है? 650. What is population of Britain? Around 72 million. Total number of MPs in the House of Commons in UK is 650. The population of UK is around 72 million. What is the population of India at this point in time? Let's take 2011 census. 1210 million. What is the number of MPs? 543. How much? Similarly, if you see USA also, the number of people represented by an MP in developed democracies are below 1 million. As of today, if you take 2011 census, it is more than 2 million on an average. Let's say 2.5 million. If you take an aggregate or an average, as of today, it is said that one Indian MP represents more than 2.5 million people. That is the reason the constitution provides for reallocation of seats or increase in the number of seats. Because when in 1950s the seats were around 475 something. Later, after every census, the seats have been increased. The final increase was in 1971, 31st Amendment Act, 530 for state. But after that, no increase. Why? Population planning. Southern states have said that this will create problem. And not only that, if you increase more seats, then the political party will have an incentive. जितना ज़्यादा लो, उतना ज़्यादा सीट मिलेगा हमें. So the incentive for population planning will be less if you increase the number of seats. And also if you reallocate based upon population. Southern states have performed well. and you should not punish them. Those who have not performed, you should not reward them. This is the fundamental idea. But freezing is not an option because of the challenges of malapportionment, underrepresentation, governance challenges. Representation by MP of people in the Lok Sabha is being virtually non-existent because of the large number of people. Some constituencies have become very large. Some constituencies have become less. Let's say Delhi. Urban areas of this country, migration is happening. So urban areas, the population of urban areas have been exploding. Telangana, one constituency has 31 million people. Some constituency in Lakshadweep has 66,000 people. In Kerala, it has around 1 million. If you see Delhi, Bombay, Pune and other constituencies, the number of people within the constituency are very high. So there are not only interstate disparity, but intrastate, even within constituency also, even within state also, sorry. In one state, let's take Delhi. In one constituency, there is, let's say, 2 million people. In other constituency, let's say 2.5 million people. There is 3 million people. So there is disparity. There are two things. One, delimitation and readjustment. Strictly speaking, delimitation means redrawing of boundaries. Redrawing of boundaries based on population. Let's say this is one state, okay? This is constituency 1, this is 2, this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. After, this is the situation in 1991. 2011, population increased. यहाँ पे 10% बढ़ गया, यहाँ पे 20% बढ़ गया, यहाँ पे 5%, यहाँ पे कम हो गया, -10%. Which means the population in the constituency have changed. Population in the constituency have changed. So we need to redraw the boundaries of the constituency in order to reflect equal population. Because ultimately every constituency should have more or less equal population. Now, this redrawing will be done by Delimitation Commission. So hypothetically, if this is the state, my drawing skill is not that good. 4. This can be something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Redrawing. In this redrawing, number of seats have not increased. Number of seats have not increased.
Internal readjustment of seats.
Internal readjustment of seats. Redrawing of boundaries. Redrawing of boundaries of constituencies. Like it happened in Assam recently. Assam, Jammu Kashmir, delimitation happened. In Assam, delimitation happened. Redrawing happened. Changes of names of constituency happened. Right. And in Assam, number of reserved constituencies, SC/ST reserved constituencies have also increased. So after delimitation, in general, what happens is that redrawing of constituency will happen in order to adjust for the population change. Names of constituency might change. Number of reserved seats, depending on population, can increase or decrease. Everything depends upon the Delimitation Act. An act will be enacted by the Parliament as per Article 82 of the Constitution, under which various terms and references will be given to the Delimitation Commission. And based upon terms and reference, Delimitation Commission will continue delimitation. If the Parliament has amended the Constitution and increased the number of seats, then the increase in the number of seats will be reallocated by the Delimitation Commission. If the allocation is frozen, then only redrawing will happen. Like it happened in 87th Amendment Act of the Constitution, 87th Amendment Act, 2001 census has been taken, right? And based on that, redrawing of constituency have happened. Redrawing, in order to reflect the population change. But number of seats have not been increased. Not only number of seats allocated to the states have increased, but what has increased? The number of seats reserved for SC and STs have increased. So I am saying delimitation can happen even without readjustment of number of seats. I am using the word readjustment in order to say that more population, more seats. That is for readjustment. This is redrawing. Redrawing is different, readjustment is different. Readjustment means Delhi, as per the, let's say, we are doing it 2011, depending on the population, the number of seats for UP will increase, Kerala will decrease. Readjustment of seats. Redrawing, there is no readjustment. Redrawing is different from readjustment. Redrawing is different from reallocation. Reallocation and readjustment are same. Redrawing, constituency है, उसका border change कर दिया, boundary change कर दी, in order to reflect the population change.
So
Which
both are included in delimitation, term delimitation.
Depending upon the Delimitation Act. A delimitation commission can do both redrawing as well as readjustment, but depending upon the act is enacted by the parliament, the provisions under the act. Like in 2002, Delimitation Commission Act was enacted. In that, the provisions was not for reallocation or readjustment, only for redrawing. But reallocation is only for reserved category. In general, it was not there. That is why, despite Delimitation Commission, 543 was the number of seats in 2011. अभी भी उतना ही है. 2011 UP had 80, now it is 80. Kerala 20.
Population of 2001 was taken.
One was taken to redraw the boundaries of constituency. But state-wise disparity existed, continue to exist. Freezing, continuation of freezing is not an option at all because the issues we discussed. Now, question is, what should be done? In fact, before that, let me ask you, why do you think the southern states are opposing? One reason is that they will lose a number of seats in the Lok Sabha. What is the consequence of that? What are the implications of that? What is the problem if northern states gain more seats? Ultimately, we are all Indians, isn't it? Nationalism. Why do you think?
They didn't have voice in the bills of the government. Their voting power in terms of reduced in the parliament.
Okay. Do you think that if losing more seats by the southern states will result into their less representation, less voice in the Lok Sabha? If it's so,
Yes.
what if the party what if there is a coalition government at the central level, wherein despite losing states, the parties of the regional party like TRS and CPIM and various other parties have come together and formed government? In that scenario, do you think that the voices, aspirations of southern states will be less reflected in the Lok Sabha, in the parliament?
For which coalition government has to be formed.
Coalition government has to be formed. So in the event of coalition government, this might not be the scenario. Even the southern states lose their representation. What if the government that is at the center has been propagating and implementing the idea of cooperative federalism? Strong states make a strong nation. What if there is a better climate of center-state relation? If the center and states have been working together as partners for the development of this country, do you think that reduction in representation will create problems for the southern states? The fundamental fear is that The northern states having more seats will control the proceedings of the parliament. The law will be made by them. They will have brute majority. The voice of southern states will not be heard in the bills and policies and programs. Because of the majority, they can form the government. So they can ignore the southern states. But what if the government of India is following an approach, a philosophy of cooperative federalism, working together? Strong states make strong nation. What if there is consensus-based approach? What if there is consultative mechanism? I am saying, so the political climate will decide. It does not matter if you lose a certain number of seats, does not matter. There is no automatic relation. There is no causation between losing a certain number of seats and reduction in political representation, in the sense that the interest of the South will be ignored by the North-controlled parliament.
Because already it is like that only. Present context also northern states are more. So
In the present context also, northern states have more number of MPs compared to southern states. But the problem is that if you take the level of population post 2026, this gap will increase. 80, what we say? Yes, 80 will become 91. This will become 40. Some other studies have shown that, yes, leave it. I'll come to that later. So gap will be more. But my point is that it cannot be said that just losing certain number of seats will lead to exclusion of southern states from the policy domain at the union level. Just because you lose some seats does not mean that you will be ignored, that your interest will not be catered into. That cannot be the case. There is no automatic causation, automatic relation. What? It depends upon the larger political climate. In fact, the politics of the day will decide. The ideology of the government at the center will decide what kind of approach they are taking. Are they promoting centralization or decentralization? That will decide whether they value the constitutional framework which provide autonomy to the states, whether they view the states as sovereign entities within the defined sphere, whether the value of partnership with the states. But one thing is sure, that it is said that the prevailing political climate, within the prevailing political climate, the center-state relation has reached to a very lower level, which has not been the case earlier, they say. So if you see the concerns of southern states with respect to reduction in political representation and attendant exclusion from the political development or policy development at the union level, these concerns have some genuine basis, especially in the context of the political climate. As you know, governors are being misused. The investigative agencies have been misused. It is felt that the instruments of union government have been taking a separate approach towards those states ruled by parties which are different from the party at the center. So within this climate, not only that, the idea of one nation, one election, the prevailing political climate lent credence to the concerns of southern states. What are their concerns? Reduction in political representation lead to exclusion at the union level. The North controlled legislature, that is the parliament, will decide the future of the states. Decision making will be centralized. Their concerns, needs, aspirations will not be reflected in policies. This is also true because the government at the center, which is formed by the political party, does not have much say or presence in southern states. They have very strong hold over the northern states. So increasing number of states in northern states will provide more seats to them because they are prominent there. one political party has won almost 60 plus seats in UP. You know which political party that might be. If there is increase in, let's say, 91, then the chance of that party increasing their tally will increase. One political party which is the government, which has formed the government at the center, has very strong presence in the northern India. There most of the seats come from that northern India, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Himachal, no, not Himachal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, from that, Gujarat, although I am not including Gujarat, but anyway, Hindi speaking, so called. So, increasing the number of seats for northern states will help that political party. है कि नहीं है? तो सिंपल है. कौन सा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी है? नाम नहीं बताऊंगा मैं. You know the political party, which will result into reduction in the number of seats, even if that political party can ignore the entire southern states, because they are very much sure about getting that majority. आप लोग मुझे वोट दो कोई मतलब नहीं है. I don't want your votes. That right? If you are not voting for that party, then you won't get anything in return. Southern states' concerns are legitimate. We are not saying that concern should stop the delimitation. There should not be any refreezing of the seats. There should be readjustment or reallocation. How it should be done is the question. There are two options here. One, you increase the number of seats. 543, increase it. Increase the seats to such a level where none of the states will lose any number of seats. The study which I mentioned, this Carnage Endowment Study 2019, this study has projected the population and has reached to a figure of 848. It said that if you increase the current 543 to 848, what will happen? Then there will be proper apportionment. There will not be any malapportionment. Apportionment means what? Division. If the number of seats is increased from 543 to 848 post 2026, then there will be equitable representation. The southern state will not lose any seats.
But sir, interstate disparity will continue to exist in that.
Interstate disparity will have number of seats. It is there. It will remain because the population of states are different. But the problem is the ratio will remain the same. The ratio will more or less remain the same. More population, more seats, fine. But the problem with this proposal is that UP and Bihar together will have 222 number of seats. If you increase the number of seats to 848 post 2026, UP and Bihar will together have 222. UP I think UP will have 143 and Bihar will have around 79. Now what will happen to the southern state? Kerala will see no change. BC rahega. Will they be happy that if you are increasing number of seats, we should also get? The southern states will not see large number of increase. मेरे पास शायद है उसका photo, देखता हूँ. The southern states will not see large number of increase. However, the northern states will have more increase. Now, do you think that this will be again a happy situation for southern states are concerned? Yes. If you increase it to 848, Kerala will have 20, जितना था उतना. Tamil Nadu will have 49. कुछ फायदा होगा Tamil Nadu को. Now it is 39, isn't it? They will get 10 more. Uttar Pradesh will have 143. Delhi will have 12. Now it is 7. Bihar will have 79. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana together will have 54. Karnataka will have 41. the amount of increase as far as southern states are concerned are comparatively very low, even if you increase seats to 848. The northern state will have larger share of the increased seats. You see, we are not saying whether it should be increased, whether it should not be increased. It's for the parliament to decide, right? But we are exploring options. We are exploring options. One option is refreeze, extend the freeze. That is not an option. Refreeze, continues, 25 साल और कर दो, वो option नहीं है. Right? Because of the issue we discussed. Number one is reallocation based on census. Reallocation or readjustment. In that situation, this will be 90-50. Yes. When you reallocate seats based on 2031 census without increasing the number of seats, then there will be disparity. Kerala will lose 8, the TN will lose 8, they will get 11, they will get 10. But in this scenario, we can take, along with population, some other characteristic also. Why should we limit the delimitation exercise only based on population? Jammu Kashmir, they have taken not only population, they have taken population, geographical features, remoteness, etc., etc. We are saying, in order to assuage the concerns of the southern states, instead of taking purely the population as the basis, take some other factors also. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? What are those factors? Let them decide. Let's say level of economic development, the rate of TFR, something like that.
15th Finance Commission.
A 15th Finance Commission taken. I am saying that, but as far as this delimitation is concerned, population is only taken. Population is the basis. But I am saying instead of population only, instead of purely basing your delimitation exercise on population, take some other criteria also. For that can result into addressing some of the concerns of southern states. The problem is that southern states will say that our representation will be lost, will be discriminated, and will also reduce, the number of seats will also be reduced. So we are saying instead of taking population purely, take some other criteria also. For that, the reallocation will be less painful and more acceptable. Third option is increasing the number of seats. Increasing number of seats is necessary because of the large number of population and the problem of representation, the distance between MPs and the governed. And when you compare the international practices, the number of people represented by MP is very high. So there is genuine need for increasing. But how to increase it? It should be increased in such a manner that there should be equitable distribution of increased number of seats. Kaise karna hai? Let them do it. We are not worried about it.
So far, no suggestion for doing such calculations other than populations.
As the government is concerned, government has not come out with anything, right?
Any studies or research?
One study is this study, Carnage Endowment Study, which has said. But they have not said that how it should be done. They said that if you increase the number of seats, then there might be more acceptability. Why? Because the number of seats will remain the same. Political party know that whatever they have will remain. So they will not lose anything. And the political party here, if they have presence in other states also, they will gain. So increase the seats will have more acceptability. But along with the increasing of seats, some other measures need to be taken. Why? The measure is this. The fundamental issue is federalism. The northern state will control everything and southern states will be left in the lurch, will be excluded. And it is not only southern and, let's say, north. States per se.
Sir, if say Goa is having less number of seats, Sikkim is
Why
having
can't we
less number of seats, are they underrepresented in, and even the northeast areas are having less number of seats in the MPs?
As per the constitution, this population ratio is applicable only to those states whose population is not above 6 million. Those states which have population less than 6 million will have a different system as far as that is concerned. Lakshadweep has around 60 to 80,000 people. It has an MP. When did? Representation needs to be provided. If you apply that 1 million criteria, then most of the constituencies, let's say Tripura and various other northeast states might not have representation. We need to, so in that sense, we are not only taking population. States having less number of population also should be provided representation. For that, we have divided separate criteria. Your question is Sikkim and Goa will have less number of people, but still they have representation. We should provide representation, despite the population being lower. Every state will not have same population. Every constituency will not have same population. But as far as practicable, bigger states we can have. We should not deny representation to states because their population is very low. That cannot be, that should not be. That is why this ratio is applicable to those states having population more than 6 million. It is not also applicable to UT. Lakshadweep is a UT. It is representation. Right?
So can't we redraw the state first and then allocate the seat? Like can be divided into states.
One of the option that we can also explore is a second state reorganization commission. State reorganization. जो बड़े उसको कर दो छोटा. This UP ideally should have been bifurcated. I would say trifurcated. इतना problem नहीं होता. Sorry to say. But there are bigger states. If you divide them, then the political control will be less. Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. In Telangana, one political party, in Andhra, different political party. When you divide states, then one state cannot hold the entire country into ransom. UPS 80 MP, let's say I'll answer. Let's say one state, one party winning every 80, which it is said that whoever wins UP will run the government in Delhi. You divide them. When you divide states, when you reorganize states, then states cannot, few states cannot control the entire governance system in the country. You divide them. When you divide states, then it is not only administratively feasible, but also it will also address some of the concerns of the southern states and other states. So, state reorganization commission, which can result into further bifurcation or division or reorganization of states, which will not result into the situation. 143, one state is having 143 seats, 91 seats out of 543. Which means even if you win some states, then you are able to form the government. That cannot happen.
So that demands will still persist that people of northern India have larger share in the parliament, even if we increase the number of states.
Bifurcation is not a solution. Why not combine the southern states instead?
Why do you think that they have struggled in 1950s for creation of states? Are we going back to the pre-1956 scenario? So, states should be in the size of the state, both population-wise as well as the area-wise, should be such that it should be administratively feasible to govern. It should not be so big. What is the ideal size? No, there cannot be any ideal size. What is the ideal population? No, there cannot be any ideal population. If the government is good, whatever the size of the population, size of the area, they can govern properly. But still, the point is that division will result into less control over the political system. It is true that if the division happens in the northern states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and let's say Uttar Pradesh. But it is more politically convenient. That perception will change. That one state is holding this much. The perception will change. It is very much possible that if the division happens such a way that one political party, let's take about UP, Western UP, RLD, Rashtriya Lok Dal, is a party which is having much more presence there. Western UP wants that there should be a separate state. I think Harit Pradesh, something like that. Now, if you divide that way, then there will be two different political parties having different ideology. Problem is not north or south. Problem is the party which is in power. Right? We are not saying that. We are saying this reorganization should be simultaneously happen with the increase or reallocation simultaneously. We are not projecting that this is the solution. Baki sab chhod do. Aisa nahi. Fundamental issue is that interest of the state should be protected, promoted. Whether they are southern, eastern, northern, western, does not matter. Interest of the state should be protected. In order to protect the interest of the states, some solutions have been given. One is strengthen the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is council of states. However, they do not function that way. Had they functioned that way, they would not have allowed the farm bills to become a law. Had they functioned that way, they would not have allowed the passage of National Capital Territory Amendment Act 2023. Isn't it? The MPs in Rajya Sabha are not seeing themselves as representative of states, rather representative of political party. But Rajya Sabha is supposed to protect, safeguard, promote the interest of states. But as of today, the Rajya Sabha is seen not protecting the interest of states, more or less. Rather, taking the side of the union government. In the arena of national interest, the regional interest is sacrificed by the Rajya Sabha. So we are saying, in order to protect the rights of states, the Council of States should act as the true custodians of states' interest. How it should be done? Number one, restoring the domicile requirement of conducting the election of Rajya Sabha. External Affairs Minister, क्या नाम है? F. Jaishankar. कहाँ से हैं F. Jaishankar? तमिलनाडु से हैं. Ideally, he should be an MP, Rajya Sabha MP from Tamil Nadu. कहाँ से हैं? गुजरात. निर्मला सीतारामन कहाँ से हैं? तमिलनाडु. कहाँ से MP हैं? कर्नाटक है? चलो, साउथ है. But anyway, domicile requirement will mean that the person has to be an elector within the state, or has to be domicile within the state. मतलब दिल्ली में domicile है तभी you can become Rajya Sabha MP. Raghav Chadha, your favorite, who just got married, and after that marriage he has been kicked out from the Bangalore. Although these two things are not related. ठीक है नहीं, जैसे शादी हो गया तो जो गवर्नमेंट बेंगलोर वहां से निकाल दिया बाहर. शादी हुआ इसलिए नहीं, ठीक है, दोनों अनरिलेटेड है. बट एनीवे, राघव चड्ढा कहां से हैं? पंजाब. he's domicile in Delhi. So do you think that these people who are domiciled in one state but representing other states, where will their loyalty lie? To the party nominated them. पार्टी अगर गवर्नमेंट में है तो कुछ भी लेके आएगा. What they do? Support. Tamil Nadu is saying that the center is taking steps in order to make the states appendages of the center. These individuals, Nirmala Sitharaman, External Affairs Minister, should be supporting Tamil Nadu, but they are being nominated from or elected from other states. Restoring domicile requirement for Rajya Sabha contest election can result into protecting the interest of states. अभी restoration नहीं है. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister, was nominated, elected from Assam. But Supreme Court has validated that domicile requirement is not necessary for election to Rajya Sabha. But we are saying, in order to protect the interest of the state, domicile requirement should be reinstated. A Tamil Nadu Rajya Sabha MP, domicile in Tamil Nadu will protect, more or less, try to protect the interest of the state of Tamil Nadu. Right? But anyway, restoration.
Anyway, they are also favoring the party the state.
Yes. Within the state, they will be supporting.
That's okay. Why do you want to? It's true. But see this in this context. In this context, this is applicable. In other contexts, we will say that it does not matter. Whether you are domiciled here or there, ultimately you will toe the line of the political party. Because whip is a whip. Anti-defection law. You cannot go against it. That's a different debate altogether. See this in this context. In this context, it is logical. Restoration of domicile requirement. This is not something my view, but this is an accepted view. Definitely it should be restored. You cannot have that somebody, Rajya Sabha is Council of State. The state should represent, you should represent the state. You are being elected from other state. You are neither representing this state or that state. You are supporting Lok Sabha. Isn't it? But this is not enough. There are some other requirements in order to safeguard the interest of the states. What are they? In order to safeguard the interest of the states, there are some concepts. Time क्या हो गया? 7:30. In order to safeguard the interest of the states, India is a federal country. I don't know for how long it will remain. If this delimitation happens this way, right, it might become unitary. For all practical purposes might be. Federal nations. USA is a federation. Isn't it? वहां पे भी states हैं, union है. Delimitation happens there also. Redrawing, readjustment, everything happens there. After census, so-called. But the question is, then how the states' interests are protected? In Senate, they have equal representation. Every state has equal representation. Senate is as much powerful as the House of Representatives. The Senate in USA is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha in India. That you know. Hence, the Senate can safeguard the interest of the states. The Senate has a convention or a tool, a parliamentary procedure, which is known as filibuster legislation or filibuster. Filibuster. Filibuster means a speech that is given in order to stop something from happening. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Filibuster. In parliamentary proceedings, filibuster means a non-stop speech given by a member in order to avoid the introduction of a bill or passage of a bill. Let's say, Government of India wants to introduce a bill in order to take public health from state list to concurrent list. ठीक है? The debate is happening in Rajya Sabha. So I am the member from the southern states. So before introduction of the bill, I rose up to speak. I kept on speaking for 24 hours. Yes, it has happened it happens in there. So when you keep speaking, then the government will not get an opportunity to pass the bill or introduce the bill, discuss the bill or pass the bill. So if you keep speaking, then definitely either the government will stop, say that okay fine, chhod do, we are not introducing it, or they will modify it, or they will say we are postponing the meeting, because this speech will be broadcasted in the entire country. That will generate public opinion. If the interests of the states are actually being curtailed, then it will create backlash. But if the speech can continue, there is no time frame, 24, 48, 64, it can continue. But the speech can be stopped only when the government can introduce a motion. This motion is known as cloture motion. Cloture, also known as closure motion. भाई बंद कर दो. क्या कह रहे हैं? वो बहुत हो गया, बंद करो. कैसे बंद करें? In order to stop a filibuster, a super majority is required. Super majority means total number of seats in House of this Senate 100. 3/4 majority is required. 3/4 majority is 60. Until unless 60 members of the Senate vote for stopping this filibuster, the speech cannot stop. देखो होता क्या है नॉर्मली, लेट्स से 52, 58 गवर्नमेंट के लोग हैं सेनेट में. Who is running the government in USA? Democrats. Hypothetically speaking, Democrats have 58 members in Senate, 42 from Republican. And Republican Party, I am from Republican Party. The government is trying to introduce a bill which is hurting the interest of the states. I rose up to speak. I kept on speaking. In order to stop my speech, a motion can be introduced. A motion should require at least 60 members to support. The member is 58. Ideally, theoretically, I cannot be stopped. The bill cannot be introduced. I am simply saying a super majority. This is not a super majority. This idea, this 3/4 majority, super majority. Introduction of a super majority in the Indian of parliamentary proceeding, in order to protect the interest of states, simply means those issues, those areas like language, culture, autonomy of states, financial relations, emergency provisions, representation of states in the Lok Sabha, etc. concerned, to pass a bill relating to those areas, a super majority is required. As of today, it is 2/3 majority, something like that. No, we are saying super majority, not absolute, not special, super. Which means the majority required for bringing that legislation or passing that legislation is kept very high. The more the majority, the less chance for passing it. Super majority. There is another thing which is the concept of unanimity. There are some legislations, some bills which require unanimity or near unanimity. 543, hey, 250. Let's say we are saying in order to bring, let's say in order to transfer some list, some items from state list to concurrent list, you require near unanimous majority. Hypothetically speaking, let's say 530 चाहिए, यहाँ पे 240 चाहिए, तभी होगा. Hypothetically speaking, near unanimous majority is required, which means until and unless the government has such a huge majority, then they will not introduce it. Which means if those bills are not introduced, then the rights of states are protected. So we can utilize the idea of filibuster legislation or supermajority in order to protect the interest of states along with various other measures we have taken. Delimitation and further readjustment should not be seen in isolation. It should be seen in the context of requirement of democracy and challenges to federalism. Democracy means people, India follows representative democracy. Representative democracy should be more inclusive, should be proportionate, should be equitable, which should reflect the level of increase of population. So for democracy require delimitation, readjustment, reapportionment. But federalism might be in danger when democracy is promoted, because the state's interest might be undermined. In order to protect the state's interest, various such these devices needs to be undertaken. So it should be taken together. In Switzerland, there is the constitution says that residual legislation will be dealt by the state. वहां पे स्टेट नहीं है, इसको कहते हैं कैंटन. स्विट्जरलैंड में स्टेट को कहते हैं कैंटन. The constitution of Switzerland says all those residual areas will be under the control of cantons. Principle of subsidiarity will be followed. Principle of subsidiarity will be followed in administration and governance as far as this Swiss nation is concerned. What is this subsidiarity? Decentralization. Those activities, function which can be done properly, efficiently, at whichever level, it should be given to that. If local governance can do something properly, managing a school, promoting agricultural activities, then should be given to that. If states can do something better than the union, it should be given. So we are saying that those principles of subsidiarity, which means decentralization, in general, should be promoted. Empower the grassroots level organizations, empower the PRIs and local bodies. This will reduce the pressure on MPs to represent. अरे इतने सारे लोग MPs के पास क्यों जाएंगे? My all needs are being dealt by the local body. In India, federalism is two-tier per se. Although we have a local body, we do not have a third tier of government. If you have a third tier of government empowered properly by the constitution, then the pressure on MPs and MLA will decrease. Because the local government will be able to take care of the issues, concerns of the people there. Anyway, we can also adopt some practices of the Swiss constitution, which is principle of subsidiarity, residual power with the states, etc., etc. Right? To conclude this debate, it is necessary that delimitation after the census, that is post 2002 census, should be undertaken. This delimitation should not only include redrawing of constituencies, but also reallocation of seats. However, this process should be based on consensus and consultation with all relevant stakeholders and should not be a top-down approach. It may be advisable to use other criteria along with population for delimitation to assuage the concerns of the southern states. To address the concerns of southern states. As there are apprehensions that post delimitation the union will become more powerful vis-a-vis states. In order to address these concerns, good federal practices such as giving more power to the Rajya Sabha, employing the concept of super majority, and principle of subsidiarity should also be undertaken simultaneously. Subsidiarity, which means devolution. Subsidiary, dependent, or let's say lower level. This simply means a function. Whoever can do a proper function properly, it should be given to that. एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उसमें कुछ लोग कुछ अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं तो उसको वो काम दे दिया, कुछ लोग दूसरा काम कर सकते हैं उसको वो काम दे दिया. Similarly, if local body can perform some function, give to them. If state can function, give to them. Defense, national defense, who can function? Do state union, तो union के पास है. External affairs, union. Law and order, police, state. Development, rural development, local body. That way. ठीक है?
So it is like moving from quasi-federal to federalism.
They move a word federalism and
See, it is very, it's not correct to use the word quasi-federal. No, we are not quasi-federal.
we are indestructible union of destructible states.
No, that's true. But that does not mean that we are quasi-federal. That term was used that point in time, right? Because the emergence of the constitution, that was the period it was used. It is not correct to use India as a quasi-federal because the government of the day is using the word cooperative federalism, collaborative federalism. That is the idea, although that might not happen in practice. What is the reason of creating Niti Aayog? Planning Commission was centralized, right? Niti Aayog wants states should be active partners if you see the objective of the Aayog. Strong states. The philosophy behind the government is cooperative, not quasi. But the actual application, the practice might be different. It is wrong to say that India is a quasi-federal, no. It is true that it is different from the classical federations at many points. But that does not mean that we are a unitary state or a quasi-federal state. It is better to use India as a sui generis federation, unique federation. Alex Fernandrovich. It's not right to say quasi-federal, no. India is not a quasi-federal state. In fact, no country in the world is true federal. Right? Every country has to mold their governance system based upon their reality, history. So this debate, this idea that India is quasi-federal, you cannot say. If the statement is India is a quasi-federal polity, that's not correct. If you say India has many features which resemble quasi-federalism, that's true. In fact, no federal country will have equal power between the state and the center. Even US it does not have. Because the state cannot recede. The states cannot secede from the union. Isn't it? Anyway, anything else you want to ask? Mayawati in 2011 also advocated for it, yet politically couldn't bring it. Yes. And Mayawati's political future is also very doubtful. She may not be able to do that. Anyway, Kanshiram government passed resolution. Yes, Kanshiram government passed resolution. But that was a period. Right now, the different political parties governing UP. Happy Vijayadashmi in advance. Thank you. When is this Vijayadashmi? Kab hai? Vijayadashmi. 5 to 6 days. Third day. Achha. You will have further classes, don't worry. So, pehle class hai. Right? Anything you want to ask? Read the material. Right? It's a difficult topic, but I think I've tried to make it easy for you. Right? But this oh, thank you so much. This debate will continue. This is not the end of it. 2023, 3 saal baki hai, 4 saal hai, chalta rahega. And this is also important in the context of that Women's Reservation Act, because states that women's reservation will begin after delimitation. So this is an added importance to this delimitation, because in order to implement that reservation, delimitation is necessary, because reservation referred seats will be allocated by the commission, like it happened in SCST. But anyway,
We have another ED for women's reservation.
we have. Okay then, thank you so much.